But there is lots to talk about. I've been away for a week watching. I was going to say watching from afar. Actually, I was in Egypt. Felt a little bit too close to the action. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people rather worried there about whether things were going to spill over in the Middle East. Developments we have seen at home and abroad, all related to what's going on in Israel, Gaza. Certainly in terms of the IDF, they've been sending forces in to Gaza. They reckon within the next 48 hours, they're going to be in Gaza City itself, splitting Gaza, the strip between north and south. Big concerns still trying to get British and other foreign nationals out, although no one seems to care about the people who, apart from the pro-Palestinian marchers, about the people who can't leave. Events back home, though, I think are really concerning people as well. These pro-Palestinian marches, I would say most of the people who are joining these marches probably genuinely are concerned about ordinary people living in Gaza who are facing bombing, who are facing shortages of food and water and medical supplies and all of that. There are also a lot of people organising these marches, and there are a lot of people who are attending these marches who they're not pro-Palestinian, they're pro-Hamas. They're pro a terrorist group. We see this from some of the placards. We see this from some of the chants. I think there are a lot of useful idiots, and there are a lot of lefty socialist worker idiots. Let's call them what they are, idiots, ill-informed idiots, who just see Israel as a colonial, Western-backed, US-backed power. Therefore, I must support Gaza. And they think this, this is, they use the word genocide completely incorrectly, and those people. And they're just quite clear anti-Semites. People who just hate Jewish people. They don't just hate Israel, they hate Jewish people. And these demonstrations are getting more and more concerning. They're getting bigger and bigger. This Saturday, there is a plan for yet another march. We're looking at 100,000 plus people on Saturday, which is Armistice Day. We've got the Remembrance Day services on the Sunday at the Cenotaph, but Armistice Day, of course, is the 11th of November. One of the most important days in our national calendar, when we mark those who sacrificed for our right to, I don't know, march in the street freely. What do you make of the calls for the Met Chief to ban that march?
I've spoken to a couple of different people over the weekend, and people at home might pour scorn on this, they might doubt this, but I spoke to British Jews that have lived in this country for more than one generation, generations and generations and generations. On Sunday, they decided that they were going to leave this country and emigrate to Israel. That is what is happening. British Jews now feel unsafe in this country. They feel that whatever the promises that our politicians make, they count for naught, because there is a movement in this country that says Jews are accountable for some or other ill that they feel is going on in the Middle East. And by the way, this is not the country that many people at home think they live in too. I also spoke to people, veterans, who saw those scenes of poppy sellers surrounded by a horde of animals. I really believe this.
You say animals?
I do, and I mean it. These were people that were just mobbing, showing visceral, palpable anger and hate. And the image of those poppy sellers, elderly people that have given their life of quiet service to this country, just looking scared and fearful. And what is the response of the pro-Palestinian protesters? They said, did we have enough? Did we rub our message in to the ordinary working people that make this country great enough, that people that are patriotic and proud of our troops? No, we're coming back, and we're coming back on Armistice Day. We're going to be out on the streets of London, ramming our message home. What's our message? Don't fight back against a terrorist group that beheaded babies, raped women and kidnapped dozens.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It's this idea that the people who are marching are the good people. It's the people, oh, we want peace. Yeah, we all like peace. You know what's really good for promoting peace? Not sending a few thousand Hamas fighters into Israeli territory and, raping and butchering and torturing people. That would help peace, I think, funnily enough, and supporting those people is the problem. But the thing is, a lot of people will point out, you know what, we've got people have the right to march. I was someone who wanted to march against lockdowns. I've been on very few more. I'm not a marchy kind of person. I'm not a protesting kind of person. A lot of people feel like they haven't got the ability to protest. They haven't got the right. You've got to vote once every 4 or 5 years, maybe once a year in your local election. If you live in a safe seat, what's the point? And I can understand that. I'm very lucky. I've got my pulpit. I've got my desk. I've got my show, and I get to, and I can write articles, so I can get to have my say that way. But I can understand why a lot of people feel, you know, being on the streets is a chance to do that. And I went on, you know, one or two of the anti-lockdown rallies as well. But there were times when those were banned and they were policed in a very different way, for instance, from Black Lives Matter protests, because some, you know, all right to protest is not equal, it would seem. I want these people to be able to go on the streets, but there are two crucial things to that. One is you don't have a right to march anytime you want, wherever you want. I don't want these people marching through, Golders Green, a very strongly Jewish community in North London, or Stamford Hill. It's inappropriate for them to be around the Cenotaph the weekend of Remembrance Sunday. It's inappropriate. It's not offensive. It's inappropriate. Surely, also, you would have thought that police were busy trying to make sure the area was secure, testing for potential terrorist bombs ahead of the King putting his wreath down for Armistice Day, for Remembrance Sunday on Sunday, in which case it would seem to be totally inappropriate. What if someone throws, red paint over the Cenotaph the day before? I mean, there are still people who are mourning people, their comrades in arms who have died in wars, who will be there. It's just untenable. So I'm quite happy for the march to go ahead, but it doesn't need to be in Whitehall. There are plenty of other places they could have that march. But also, crucially, marches should go ahead where they are not intimidating other people. I don't mean someone being offended. I don't mean someone, I don't like that much. There are loads of causes I disagree with. It doesn't bother me in the slightest if people want to take the streets. But when you taking to the streets does actually cause people to be genuinely scared for their lives, and you talk about Jewish people saying they want to leave and go to Israel. And again, I have Jewish friends who, and I've even said to my daughter, we live in a very, very Jewish area, a lot of Jewish friends, both her and me, and saying, look, you can't go to Oxford Street at the weekend. You cannot go there with your friends. It's too dangerous. It's not safe. That is an appalling state of affairs.
And remember why we feel that there is this extra danger with this protest. It's because there are people amongst that group that we know, not all of them by a long stretch, but some of them that are there to back a terrorist group. Now, I make enormous allowances for free protest. I make even bigger allowances for free speech. But we have laws in this country that you cannot back a terrorist group or terrorist atrocities. And as far as I'm concerned, if you are standing up in the street and saying, from the river, Palestine, to the sea, Palestine will be free. Jihad, you are calling for the terroristic genocide of the Israeli people.
Do you agree with Philip Rodman, the Home Secretary? She's talked about how these are hate marches. Now, I think there are people on those marches that are hateful. Some of the placards, people holding up, a placard with say, the Israeli flag and putting it in the bin saying, clean up the world. I'm sorry, that is anti-Semitic, full stop, nothing to discuss. Shouting of jihad. In that context, of course it's about violence. I think there are a lot of, again, useful idiots who don't understand that from the river to the sea is about the annihilation of Israel. They're idiots. They don't, they bother to go out on a protest march. They've got the right coloured flag, but they don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's a combination of virtue signallers, jihadi sympathisers and plain fools. And I look at these people and I despair, actually, for our education system. So many young people have got themselves into such a twisted worldview that says, I know, in a conflict between Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East that has human rights, thriving LGBT community, and a jihadist terrorist organisation, I'm going to pick the side of the jihadists.
It's really quite scary, isn't it? I mean, how did we come to this? Is this just the obvious next extension of the sort of the competing, identity politics that we're in, where where somehow Jews have gone from being the most persecuted to the persecutors in some people's eyes?
There are those on the left, and I make no apology for saying this, that hate the success of the Jewish community. They would like the
And
Jewish...
of the State of Israel.
And of the State of Israel. They would like members of the Jewish community to be permanently offended, victimised, weak, and they resent the fact that Jews, wherever they are in the world, have a fantastic track record of getting involved in every element of public life, being really successful, contributing towards society, getting on with it, with their values, which are traditional values, Judeo-Christian values that many of us share, and there are people that will never, ever forgive them for not participating in the Victim Olympics.
Yeah,
that
that's what it is.
permeates
It is
our
the Victim
education.
Olympics, isn't it?